Hey guys, Sean here, and welcome to our first stream of the weekend qualifying. The first qualifying session for 2018 is all done and dusted. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment. I do have to say something at the start of the stream though. Very important. It's the most obvious statement I'll probably ever make, but I need to do it. Spoiler alert. We will be talking about qualifying. If you've not seen the session, and chat haven't already given it away for you, which I'm sure they all have, it's probably best that you don't keep watching. You come back a little bit later, maybe watch the stream a bit later or join us tomorrow for the race stream because we're going to be going over it a little bit. We'll reveal the result and I'm going to be joined by a couple of lads from the community as well over on Discord. So yes, I am knackered. I don't know about you, but I am so tired. I'm a bit off my face on Monster, so I'm sure I'll be all right. Thank you very much, RC, in the chat for wishing me a happy birthday. Their best birthday present ever. F1 is back. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm like a pig in. Anyway, let's move on then to the qualifying results. Lewis Hamilton on pole, nearly 0.7 of a second clear of Kimi Raikkonen in second place. Probably one of the biggest surprises of the day. Sebastian Vettel in third, just behind his teammate Max Verstappen fourth. Valtteri Bottas in fifth. We'll talk about him in just a moment. Daniel Ricciardo in sixth, but of course he'll start further back with that three-place grid drop. Great day for Carlos Sainz in seventh, but not quite as good as the Haas boys. Eighth and ninth they qualified, with Nico Hülkenberg in 10th. Yes, and then on to Fernando Alonso, P11. Not too bad for him. He's going to be able to optimise his strategy from there tomorrow, as will Stoffel Van Dorn. Sergio Perez in 13th, Lance Stroll 14th. Actually pretty decent from him today, to be fair. Very disappointing, though, from Force India, like Perez 13th, Esteban Ocon in 15th, Brendan Hartley will be 16th, Marcus Ericsson, P17, outperforming Charles Leclerc just. Those two are going to be so close this year. Sergei Sirotkin 19th, and Pierre Gasly in 20th. Did we all enjoy qualifying? Because I know for sure I was so hyped after Q2. I thought we were going to have such a close battle, and then it all went wrong. Yes, we're going to go into that, and we're going to start off by bringing in the lads from Discord. Then first off, good morning, Tom, who appears not to be working. We'll see if we can get Charles. Can you hear me, Charles? Right, bear with me. We seem to have an issue with Discord, which is just about typical because I decided to use that this morning instead of Skype, which is always the way. Yes. Leave it with me. I'll try and sort that. But yeah, what do you think about qualifying? Obviously, Lewis Hamilton, pretty dominant, to be fair, in the end. I thought we were going to be very, very close after Q2. But it definitely hasn't gone that way, has it? I mean, what was the 6/100ths of a second between Hamilton, Vettel, and Verstappen, I think it was. Absolutely nothing between them in Q2. I actually said on Twitter at the time, this is going to be bloody close. Proved a little bit wrong. I mean, a few people I saw in chat before we got going, in all honesty, saying that, you know, anybody could set that lap in that car. But, you know, we don't often give Lewis Hamilton credit here on the F1 word, to be fair. But, you know, that's a pretty decent lap. You know, that's an incredible lap when you look at how close it was in Q2. And that can't all just be down to the car. You know, Bottas, we'll talk about him in just a sec. He did have his moment, but he wasn't exactly on it through the session. So we have to give him some credit for that. But I think the man that, for me, in this session gets the biggest amount of credit has got to be Kimi Raikkonen. It has got to be Kimi Raikkonen because, simply put, you know, I don't know. I'm trying not to criticise it because through the winter we've kind of talked about how he's kind of nowhere, how he's really, really struggled through the last couple of seasons and maybe even checked out from Formula One. But he's come into this session. He looked like he was on for pole at one point. He really did. I thought, in fact, I tweeted out, I thought he may well be able to take that pole position, take it to Lewis Hamilton and take it to Sebastian Vettel, obviously beating his teammate there. But, you know, all in all, you know, maybe, just maybe, we've all been a little bit too sceptical of him and he's turned up and gone, you know, this is probably my last year. I'm going to absolutely go for it. And there you go. I mean, what do you guys think? Can you see him challenging the big boys, if you like, Hamilton and Vettel this year? Do you think he's got it in him, or is this just more a case of rustiness from Vettel and maybe no engine mode from Verstappen and Ricciardo? I mean, it's an intriguing one. Still can't seem to get the stream working for the lads on Discord. I've had to mute the mic, obviously, therefore, on Discord, so they'll be able to hear me. But yeah, I will try and get that sorted. I don't know why it's not working. Yeah, that's really annoying. But yeah, do you reckon Kimi can challenge realistically this year for a championship, or are you a little bit concerned by that 7/10 of a second that Lewis Hamilton has apparently in his pocket? You know, party mode, if you like. Just looking at chat, just keeping an eye on chat to see if anyone's got anything they want to say on Kimi Räikkönen. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy for him. Disappointed. I thought Vettel was going to be a lot closer to Hamilton, but 100th of a second off his teammate, not a million miles away from probably being up there. I think race pace, there's no doubt whatsoever that Ferrari will be closer. They didn't show any pace in FP1 or FP2. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I was a bit sceptical, a bit critical of Ferrari after the first couple of practice sessions. Felt like they didn't really have anything in the bag, and clearly they were still maybe not sandbagging, but things weren't quite where they wanted to be for those sessions. You know, Vettel top in FP3, although we can't really read anything into FP3 times at all. But solid from him, absolutely solid from him in that respect. You know, to get within 7/10 of a second of Hamilton in party mode when people are already talking about in race trim that car's a second up the road. So, you know, I think we are closer than maybe we expected it to be come Australia. I think we all were a little bit concerned after testing Mercedes were long gone, but it looks a lot closer than that. And Red Bull are in the mix as well, right in the mix. You know, Verstappen before the Red Bulls, the Mercedes put on their party mode and Ferrari cranked up their engine, you know, he was right in there. You know, Ricciardo not a million miles away either, you know. So Red Bull are in that mix. And I think on race pace, particularly with what Red Bull have decided to do in terms of strategy, setting their fastest laps in Q2 on the super soft tyres, and Christian Horner now talking about possibly doing a one-stop race tomorrow. So they've got a great chance with a strategy there, and I think that's going to be absolutely critical for this season, is what Red Bull do in the race. And I think Q2 could become a bit of a story, what they've done today with Red Bull. It could really tell the story of their season, which, you know, Christian Horner, they've alluded to this lack of power they get from Renault. They do it all the time. But I think it's fair to say, you know, Renault have stepped it up this year. You can see it in Carlos Sainz and Nico Hülkenberg. You know, they are quick. But with Red Bull's chassis, they're going to be challenging if Renault make any step forward. And of course, the upgrades are going to come. So yeah, is it the Q2 listing? That's taken from the F1 website. It probably is the Q2 listing. No, it's final listing, isn't it? No, it can't, because Bottas is 5th. Ignore that. I will see if I can find the actual one, because that's a very good point. Yeah, it's typical of F1. Thank you for that, John. I'm so glad you bailed me out of these things. But yeah, they do. Yeah, a few issues with F1. What do you think of the graphics in that today? In practice and through qualifying and whatnot. That theme music, still not a massive fan of it, but I have to say, when used in its proper context, it's not actually all that bad. It's, what was it Jonty said? It's acceptable almost. You can sort of, tolerable, I think was the word he used. So, do you know what I'm going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Sky Sports website, because they're not the greatest source in the world, but they're probably a little bit more reliable than the F1 one, ironically. But yeah, I don't know, not really sold on the graphics. There are a few teething problems as we're having this morning. It is very early. But yeah, I think it's all right. It's all right. So yeah, of course, Bottas would have been 10. I think he's going to take a grid drop as well. Valtteri Bottas, massive crash on the exit of turn 2. Went too high on the curb in turn 1. Lost it, basically. Power down, straight into the wall. Big shunt, brought out the red flags. Therefore, 10th in that session. And that's pretty much... I can't see him not having a gearbox penalty for that. I think that's pretty much a given. But I guess here's one for the chat then. If you're in Mercedes' position right now looking at Valtteri Bottas, do you put another engine in the pool ready for the rest of the season? Do you change that engine after that crash, because it's going to have taken a hell of a whack? So do you change your engine, get another in the pool? I mean, if Red Bull had done that, it would have made absolute sense. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm worried for him. You know, he's a driver who I think it'd be unfair to say we've criticised. We've just been a little bit sceptical of over the winter, because we've been concerned that he's not going to be able to turn up this year and deliver. And, you know, he's out of contract, and there are people that could quite easily take that seat off him. Ocon, for example, Ricciardo out of contract. And I think it was Martin Brundle said I think it was after the session, that sort of thing counts against you so quickly in Formula One these days, especially when your contract's up for negotiation. So I'm a bit worried for him. It is only the first race, it's the first session. I'm pretty sure that he will bounce back, turn that around for the season. I don't think he's going to be as far off as maybe we're thinking, but I don't know. I think get another engine in the pool just in case it all goes wrong. The gearbox will obviously get a change, so that's a guarantee 10-place grid drop. It's 5 places, is it, for gearbox? Yeah, sorry, 5-place grid drop. I don't know, just take the opportunity, because even Mercedes with their bulletproof reliability will have some form of concern over reliability. 3 engines in a season is beyond a joke. I've said it throughout the winter. I'm not, if teams are already having to talk strategically about taking penalties and whatnot, then I think the rule doesn't work. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I think probably out of all the teams on the grid, they're the least likely to have to do it. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That is your official top 10 then. Sorry about the resizing there. The rest of the thing was obviously correct, because that's from FP2, from Q2, but yeah, there you go. So it was Lewis Hamilton, was 0.7 of a second clear. Bottas, obviously, he ended up P10 with a DNF. So I sold Haas short, and I do apologise. 6th and 7th will start 5th and 6th tomorrow. I think they're the other story of today. We knew they were quick coming into this season after what was a solid. That's selling him short as well. A really good pre-season. They came in possibly 4th fastest. People were talking about. I said I can't see them faster than 6th. That right there has just proved me completely wrong. And Kevin Magnussen out qualifying Romain Grosjean as well. Renault right in the mix. I mean, that midfield battle, when you look back through the session, was just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. What it was about 1.5 seconds separating pretty much the whole of the midfield, I think it was. I mean, what do you say? I mean, it's so close. Sergei Sorokin, I think he'll be disappointed not to be in that mix, but not even Sauber cut away at the back as I expected them to be. So it's so close, and with nobody could adrift, it's going to really mix up qualifying. And that was actually a really good session, sort of before Lewis's incredible lap. So when you go back through that and you look at how close it was, the Force Indians, for example, look absolutely nowhere on paper, and I think they will be disappointed with 13th and 15th, but they weren't 4 seconds off the pace or anything stupid like that. They're right in the mix. Fernando Alonso, 11th and 12th for McLaren, he came out on the team radio and said that's okay. He knows he can pick his own tyres, optimise his strategy. They're not a million miles away from Renault. It looks as though, despite the issues they had in testing and again in FP1, that they've nailed those reliability issues. So I don't think there's a massive concern at McLaren anymore, and Fernando Alonso seems happy-ish, although a few moans on team radio over the weekend, I think it's fair to say. I know some of you who are joining in on the sweepstake on Discord will be very happy that Fernando Alonso is doing all right there, but like I say, optimise your strategy, get the right tyre on. He goes into the race probably looking good for some hefty points. I've got a feeling that McLaren's race pace will be better than their 1-lap pace anyway, because I think that chassis is not too bad at all. So it's going to be, that's the fight. If let's play devil's advocate, we'll go hypothetical. Let's say that Lewis Hamilton is genuinely 0.7 of a second up the road. Bottas gets it all together, doesn't crash out. He ends up 0.6 of a second up the road. Mercedes go off and dominate. At least we've got a close fight with Ferrari and Red Bull, and a massively close fight in the midfield. I mean, that... sorry. It's just that's the fight. I've been saying it all winter. It could save F1 again. We got that last season, and hopefully we're going to get a close championship fight. But if not, we have got that scrap to look forward to. I still think Renault and McLaren will outdevelop Haas throughout the course of the season, but obviously we can't take anything away from Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean. John T just said something there. A few people talk about the graphics that we were talking about a little bit earlier in the stream. A lack of tyre information. I know I was talking to Chaz as well yesterday about this, that the graphics are okay. They look nice and fresh. They're not the easiest to read, but there's a lot of information missing. The onboards, you don't get as much information as we got under previous ownership, if you like. So I'm hoping they're going to tweak it. The T-cam, by the way, looks absolutely dire, and that has got to be sorted next season. As far as I'm aware, they can't change it this year. From what I've read, I believe that you can't actually they can't actually make any changes to T-cam position, because the aero rules and regulations actually state that that is where the T-cam has to be, and this camera has to be over there, and that one's got to be over that side. So I think they're kind of stuck with, I guess, T-cam positioning, but it looks absolutely crap. There's a great graphic going around on social media saying tick all the boxes that where you can see the track. The onboard, you can't see the track. I mean, yes, you get to see the drivers working the wheel, but, I understand Liberty's position in that respect. They can't change it, but if I were them, I just wouldn't bother showing it, to be honest. It just looks a state. It's not pretty for people to watch. I don't know. I'm just not sold on it. Not sold on it at all. But we will obviously get used to it. Martin Brundle even saying in commentary that he's pretty used to the halo by now. So I don't believe him for a second. Martin Brundle being Martin Brundle. But yeah, I don't know, guys. What are your thoughts on those T-cam positions? Where would you like one? Obviously, people talking about maybe just in the front of the halo wouldn't be a bad place for one. Generally agree with that. I think that's not a bad spot, but I think it's something we will just get used to. I'm not going to say get over, because I don't think. Yeah, I mean it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world, is it? We will get used to it. It's just a bit more, maybe. I don't know, what was the one we saw in quad? I'm trying to think back to practice now. We saw a great camera angle on the front suspension. A few more of them, proper intricate camera angles, so we get some good stuff. But a few people in chat talking about rain tomorrow. As far as I'm aware, it's supposed to stay dry. That was the last I checked on the weather front for F1. So that's potentially not boding very well, but to be honest, with how close they were in P2, I don't think there's too much of a concern. Just looking to see if we've got I don't know, maybe a little bit of rain forecast for the afternoon, but it's going to be a green track anyway, always is. So it's going to be an interesting one. Few of you in chat, Peter Hendricks told you that Hulk was in front of Sainz. Yeah, he was. I think I've just got my graphics mixed up. I think I took it from their timing screens, and it was hadn't updated for the top 10, which is rather annoying. But yeah, let's just have a look at I've got a few super chats coming in, so I'll read a couple of those then. So if you want to pop some questions in, I will do my best to answer a few of those for you as well. I think I've got some super chats coming in. We have Eru says, happy birthday, Sean. Here's a small present. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate that. A couple of quid. That'll go towards a drink or two a little bit. Well, not a drink or two with a couple of quid. That was ambitious. A drink maybe later on tonight. Definitely. I'm well ready for that. If I don't pass out on the sofa, though, that's one thing that is likely to happen, because I'm absolutely knackered, as I'm sure you all are, you other Europeans out there that have had to get up. But hey, I love it. It's the first race of the season. It's the best time to be getting up, so I'm not going to complain too much about it. Did you see the time in FP3? I don't know if that's a conversation you're having. Will Max have an advantage starting on super softs? He will in terms of strategy. Yeah, definitely will in terms of strategy. I don't think Red Bull are concerned. From listening to Christian Horner on a pit wall through the race on Sky, he didn't sound overly concerned. And I think that's usually a very strong telltale sign that they're confident. We've already talked about engine modes. Mercedes have their party mode. Ferrari have an extra engine mode. Renault don't, or certainly not a more powerful one. So I don't actually think we're going to see many Red Bull pole positions over the next season or two. But it's the race where the points are handed out, and if they're solid, which I think they will be, I can't see Red Bull not being in the mix after the times that were set throughout practice and again during the second qualifying phase. But super soft tyres, one-stop strategy I think Christian Horner's talking about. So I think, that's doable. I guess that depends how hot it's going to be. Red Bull generally pretty good on their tyres. Concern over Mercedes and their blistering as well that they saw in Spain. So there's a possibility that's going to be an issue for them. So I don't think there's that much concern at Red Bull. I think there will be a little bit of concern at Ferrari. You know, they've cranked up their engine, gone for quick quali laps, and Lewis Hamilton comes out and pumps that lap in. But at the same time, they weren't a million miles away in practice. They were closer in Q1 and Q2. You know, and we saw last year the Ferrari race pace was actually stronger than the Mercedes race pace. So I think they're going to be okay for the race. I'm not overly worried about that. I think we're going to get a good Grand Prix. It's a gut feeling right now. Usually I'm completely wrong. I hope I'm not, for everyone's sake, and that Lewis Hamilton doesn't disappear. That's not anything. There's no knock at him. We just want a really great race for the first race of the season. So, like I said, that midfield battle will be brilliant. How much longer are you streaming for, mate? Asks Chaz. I don't actually know how long we've been going. Yeah, probably only about 10 minutes or so. I didn't want to go crazy on the qualifying stream. Obviously, the race stream is the one you'll all come along to tomorrow, which will be within 30 minutes of qualifying finishing. So, yeah, and I believe, all being well, John T will be with me for that one as well. And I need to obviously iron out whatever problems we've got. I just want to apologise, actually, to Charles and Tom. They were supposed to be on the stream today, but for whatever reason, I can't seem to get them heard on the stream. I don't know if it's an issue my end, or I don't know if you guys heard them when they introduced themselves. So it might be an issue my end. I can't hear them. My mic and headphones were unmuted on Discord when I was talking to them. I just muted them afterwards so they weren't listening to me drone on for too long like that. So, yeah, Force India will be good in second race. New upgrades coming, says Throttle XDD. Yeah, very good point. Very good point. They will definitely going to pick it up as the season gets going. It doesn't look like they're getting a name change either. I think I said that in the Australian Grand Prix preview. I think they're Force India now till 2019. What went wrong with Ocon? I tend to agree. I think it is probably going to come down to more upgrades for Force India. But like I said earlier, they weren't 2, 3, 4 seconds off the pace of others. They are right in that mix in the midfield. So I'm not too worried for them, but you know, at the end of the day, it's early season. You know, we have a running order that, you know, is what it is right now in Australia. We have to remember as well that, you know, upgrades are going to come to these cars for Spain. Albert Park is a very specific track. You know, there aren't really any others like it on the calendar, so it's not a fair representation really. So I think, yeah, I'm not too worried at the minute. I think they will be concerned. They will be concerned if they can't get that turned around. I expected more from them, to be honest. But like I said, they're not a million miles away. Have to give a shout out to Marcus Ericsson, if you like, as well, for his performance. P17, you know, a 10th up on his teammate. We've been talking about him throughout the winter. We thought Charles Leclerc was going to absolutely blow him away this year. And looks like Marcus Ericsson is going to prove us all wrong, which, don't get me wrong, is fantastic. You know, that's great for him. It's about time we saw what he could really do. So, you know, it's going to be awesome. Looks like Haas v Renault at the moment, says Umbrex. Yeah, I mean, I think McLaren will get in that mix. I think they will develop. They're talking about improvements in Bahrain already. Obviously, like I say, updates come to pretty much every car in Spain. So, yeah, I mean, we could have a three-way fight for fourth, and if Force India get it right as well, you know, if Williams could step it up. Actually, I don't know if I said this earlier, Lance Stroll, for all the criticism he's had over the last few months, he has got to get some credit for that Q1 lap, because he pulled that out, and you heard him on team radio. He was so happy with it. You know, it was a hell of a lap to get him out of Q1, and Nat Williams, which we're all expecting to struggle in the early part of the season, you know, I think we've got to give him some credit for that. So massive kudos for him for that one. Haas and Renault are very close. Yep, they absolutely are. Ben Kingston, Alonso deserves a better car. Hopefully he's got one this year with that Renault power unit. So, yep, I'm pretty confident on that. What are your podium predictions for tomorrow then, guys in chat? I'm trying to think what I've got off. What did I go for in my preview video? I think I went Hamilton, Verstappen, Vettel, I think. And with that Red Bull strategy, good race pace, yeah, it could happen. But I think now Kimi Räikkönen's got to be thrown in that mix. So pop your predictions for tomorrow's podium in the chat. I'll try and read a few out. So Vice says Hamilton, Verstappen, Vettel, Hamilton, Verstappen. Vettel, Hamilton, Verstappen, Hamilton, Verstappen, Kimi. Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, Hamilton, Verstappen, Vettel. I think I see where this is going. Hamilton, Vettel, Kimi. Yeah, I think it is pretty much between those four for the podium spots. Magic Vibrations, K-Mag, Grosjean and Sainz. Why not? Why not? You never know in Australia. We don't know what reliability's like. Everyone's a little bit rusty going into turn one. Who knows? That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it, to see a team like Haas pick up a win at the first race, the underdogs. Michael Zong, why is Bottas at 10? He crashed out in turn 2, big crash. Will inevitably get a gearbox penalty and probably start from the pit lane because they're going to have to rebuild that car. So, well, probably he will start from the pit lane. So, so Fernando Alonso then starts top 10, if I'm right. Yeah, he'll start top 10, won't he? So, and should still get a free pick of tyres. Ericsson, Gasly, Stroll, says John T. Have you been on the beers, mate, overnight? K-Mag on the podium. Do you know, if you'd have said that to me a month ago, I'd have probably just laughed and assumed you were joking, but why not? There's pace in that Haas. They are... What are they? Hang on a second. Bear with me. They're not far Ferrari at all, are they? What, 1.2? 1.3? They'd have taken that. They'd have taken that any time last year, so... Yeah, absolutely awesome. I'm really impressed with them. Really impressed. I was worried that their pre-season testing pace was just pre-season testing pace, and that everyone else was sandbagging too much, and they'd end up nowhere. But really solid from them. Really solid from them. So why not? Why not? Is that our crazy prediction then? A Haas on the podium. Is that going to be the one we go with for tomorrow? I'm not going to hold anyone to these. I might actually. I'm that kind of person. But yeah. How long until Ferrari swap Kimi and Seb? I'd be very surprised, Zach, if they did it at the first race. But I don't know. There's 100th of a second between them, so they're going to be right on each other. If you say Haas on the podium. Ricciardo's penalty was because he went too fast on the red flags. It was. I'm not going to say too much. I'll wait until I've got somebody. Wait until I've got my problem sorted on this end, and I've got a few things sorted, and maybe somebody on with me before I give too much of an opinion on that penalty, because I'm not overly pleased with it. Rules are rules at the end of the day, but I think not so much the penalty he got. But I just think there's a little bit of inconsistency when it comes to what the FIA deemed dangerous driving, given he got 2 penalty points on his licence. But yeah, let's... Hamilton seemed a bit moody, did he? He was in the press conference. Him and Vettel seemed really flat in the press conference on Thursday. But like I said, I can imagine that gets a little bit after a decade of doing it at the start of every season. Weather predictions for tomorrow. I'm hoping for rain. I think we all are. Mix the race up, but I do believe it looks like it's going to be dry, but there are thunderstorms predicted for the night time, I think it was. I just saw in Australia. So, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I've just confirmation from Tom on Discord. Apparently the issues are my end, so massive apologies to Charles and Tom for not being able to get you on, guys, and massive apologies to you guys that I've had to just sort of chat away to myself and to you rather than having a guest on, but I'll try and we'll get those sorted before we go live tomorrow after the race. So I promise Tom and I promise Charles, I will try and get you on again within the next couple of streams. So I'll get you on for the first time in the next couple of streams. So yeah, that's awesome. Also, we are 30 away from 20k. Can't believe that. I'm not going to go on about it. I say it all the time, but for those that are new, my prediction after setting up the channel back in June was to have 100 subs was my goal by the 1st of January. Yeah, 20k. Birthday today as well, so let's see if we can get that done today between us. Not necessarily during the stream, but that'd be absolutely awesome if we get that done. I will give everyone a shout out at the end as well. Stay on until you have 20. I would love to, but I've got family coming over. They're travelling over now to take me out for the day, so that means I have to get ready and make effort and stuff like that. So otherwise, yeah, it would be a great present. I'd love that. Orange biking, just hoping for some good racing. That's all I want. I don't mind. I don't want one driver to go off and dominate the championship, but if we've got good scrapping in behind that, it'll just be like the Ferrari dominance of the early noughties when Schumacher used to disappear into the distance with his teammate behind him, and then we'd all be watching third place backwards for the race. So absolutely fine. Absolutely, it's some great racing. Thank you very much for all your birthday messages as well in the chat. Another year older and a bit more senile, that's for sure. Do Williams and Sahara Force India get party mode? They should do under the new rules. So yeah, it could be interesting later in the season on tracks where when they've got some development on that car, they might be able to mix it up. But David says, I subbed at 11k. Awesome, mate. Thank you very much for sticking around. I'm surprised how many people have, actually. I tend to try and upset people. Not try and upset people, but just seem to upset people when they go on about stuff and get those opinions out there. But you guys seem to like the honest and frank and no BS opinions that we give. So, you know, we'll always do it. That's who I am. I'll never change the channel to keep the vocal minority happy. Let's not get into an early morning tired rant. Charles, who's in chat now, obviously couldn't get on the stream, says Bottas coming through the field may be interesting. I'm looking forward to that, mate. I'm not going to lie, really looking forward to that. Fast cars out of position always gives a good race. That's the only positive of the engine penalty rules, I guess. So yeah, absolutely. Will he get overtake? Is not easy in Australia. That Mercedes isn't great at following other cars, so yeah. Why not? Just great racing. All around will be good, but getting through that midfield will be tough with how close they are and how hard they're going to fight. So with the third DRS zone will be an interesting race. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a bit artificial, but at the end of the day, if it promotes overtaking, then I guess, yeah, we'll accept that. For some reason, not updating on screen either, my sub count. So I don't know if that's completely wrong or what, but just check we haven't hit 20k because I don't want to disappear if we've just done it, because that'd be pretty bad. No, 20 to go, but yeah. So I'll tell you what, I'll take a couple more questions from chat. I'll just check my notes and make sure that I haven't missed anything I know what to talk about. Oh, Toro Rosso, that was the other thing. I'm like Ted Kravitz when I'm tired, all over the place. Toro Rosso, disappointed Ted, funnily enough, on pace. I don't think there's too much there to be overly concerned at for Toro Rosso. Yeah, Gasly's last, but he's last because he went off track, locked up in turn 3 and ran off. But Hartley, you know what, a 10th quicker, and he's comfortably, well, not comfortably, but he's into Q2, you know, 3/10 off Lance Stroll. Somebody did actually, only a few tenths off of 13th place, really. You know, I mean, hooks a lap up half a second off 13th. I don't think they're that far off. It does kind of prove what I think we all sort of suspected, and that was that although they had good reliability, the pace wasn't necessarily there. And maybe they were, you know, we all know that you don't have to run legally, if you like, as such in Spain. When you're testing, you can sort of run the car light and things like that. So we don't know what they were doing. They might have been just playing games with McLaren. Some people asked me to answer Jonty's question. Will K-Mag be the loose cannon into turn 1? I think if you were here, Jonty, you'd probably say yes to your own question there. It's highly likely. I don't know. I'm hoping he's calmed down a bit. I like that we've got a bad boy, if you like, of F1, but hopefully he will keep it clean for Haas's sake more than anything. Because actually, a bit like we were saying about Renault the other week, Jonty, if those two can work together at Haas, they could pick off a few in this Constructors' Championship, you know, and I'm quite confident for them. Quite confident for them this season now. So I know I've got a long-term sub called Tom who will be over the moon if they can pick up some big results this season. So, worried about McLaren's pit performance. Seems a lot of fumble pit stops in testing and this weekend as well. Could be trouble in the race, says Flying Tiger. Yeah, I guess in a way. They're an experienced team, though. I'm pretty sure they'll get it sorted, but I think... wouldn't that be ironic? Wouldn't that be... Poor Fernando Alonso gets a decent engine and the team start cocking up pit stops. AB Gamer, Sean, who crashes? Are we talking turn 1? Last few years, we've not had a huge amount of contact down there, have we? They're pretty well behaved into turn 1. Down in turn 3, though, might get some good action. So, first to crash. First to crash for 2018. I'll go Magnussen, just because he's the most likely to. It might be a prediction I actually get right. A few of you actually surprised in comment sections as well that I was backing Vettel for the title. I just kind of need to clarify on that a little bit. That's more to do with the fact I've spent the winter saying that I think he will, and to backtrack at the last minute does sound a little bit ridiculous and like I'm copping out, so kind of had to stick with him. But, you know, I still think damage limitation for Ferrari going on this season, early doors. Yeah, I think if Mercedes are as strong as they look at the moment, yeah, damage limitation early on. But, you know, we don't know, do we? We don't know what Ferrari do. I think their race pace will definitely be better, so, you know, they're going to be up there. But I want to see the Marussia back in 2019. I'd like to see Manor back. Maybe it's a Mercedes B team. You know, Ferrari have got one, possibly two now. Red Bull have got one, so one for Mercedes won't be the end of the world. It was already Bottas. Yeah, he was the first to crash. Yeah, okay, first one to crash in the race in 2018. A word on Daniel's pace, says Sarthvik. 123, no, 122.1. That is second off, isn't he? But, I mean, 3/10 off his teammate. Yeah, that's one to think about. I wonder how much of that is the fact that he's pretty miffed. I think we'll put it that way. Christian Horner saying it's the most angry he's ever seen Daniel Ricciardo after that penalty. Could be why. Nah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Red Bull at all. I'm really not. But yeah, he was a lot closer in Q2. Someone's just said in chat. Q1, yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think about the penalty that he got yesterday? Honestly, give us an honest opinion on it, because I'm pretty miffed on it. I'm not going to lie. I sort of hinted at it earlier. You know, there are certain incidents back, let's say last season, where drivers, or a driver in particular, was deemed to have driven dangerously and got given no penalty points on their licence, whereas one driver yesterday is slightly over the speed he has to be in a couple of marshal zones and gets 2 points on his licence for dangerous driving. So, you know, the new season, fresh start, maybe they are going to be consistent this year and be strong from the outset, but, you know, it's not very consistent in terms of what they deem dangerous driving at the FIA. That's all I'm going to say on that. I'm not going to go on too much. Just stay on for a couple more minutes then. As Webber would say, it was a crap decision, a poo decision. It's too early for me to be swearing. It's, yeah. A few saying the penalty's unfair. Somebody saying 20k, not quite. I think we've got 10 to go. No, 8 to go, 7 to go. I'm just going to stop looking at that. I may as well wait on for a couple of minutes in case we do it. So, yeah. Grid penalty should be for major punching someone in the face type offences. Says Flying Tiger. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I still think the grid penalties are a little bit over the top for what they are. But yeah, Sarthvik Ferrari International Assistance. Yeah. I don't know. Tinfoil hats and conspiracies, we can play that all day. But yeah. Any questions you want to throw before I go off air? We're going to get obviously stream tomorrow morning within half an hour of the race finishing. I'll try and make sure the graphics are all up to date as well and that all the problems are sorted. Jonty will be joining me for that one. He's got everything in place to join me for that. I don't think he'd miss that for the world, would you, Jonty? First race of the season, first big race stream of the season. Just be initial reactions. Obviously review on Monday as well. So yeah. Daniel can't seem to catch a break at his home Grand Prix. No, he's a lot of bad luck. Soccer legend, is Vettel slow or Kimi fast? You could argue, looking at the time that Hamilton set, they're both slow. But I think a hundredth of a second between them, that can be slightly wide on one corner. You know, it's not a big thing. Nothing between them. Who's going to be the 20k sub? There you go then. We are now unbelievably at 20k, despite the fact I've had technical issues in the stream. That's amazing. You guys are crazy. Just waiting to see if that 20k sub comes through. I believe it's Morbo Gaming, is what Streamlabs is telling me, but that's massively unreliable. So yeah, thank you very much for your congrats. That is absolutely insane. Like I say, target was 100 subs by the 1st of January. Channel is 9 months old on Monday, and we've done that already, so absolutely amazing. Love you all to bits. Absolutely brilliant community we've got over on Discord. Brilliant community on YouTube as well. I'll do all the soppy stuff now, can't I? I can do all the, thanks, mum. No, I'm joking. Hashtag blessed and all of that, As I said the other day, thanks to Alex, thanks to Chaz, thanks to Jonty, thanks to Ryan, Yeah, it's just awesome. Everyone's part of that amazing community we've got. Still a growing one as well. Don't forget you can join us over on Discord as well, by the way. The links will be posted in the chat throughout. So, yeah, it's awesome over there. Yeah, I'm going to have to go. Who got... That's the thing. I'll tell you what I'll do then. Seeing as that is a community moment, let's just have a look here at F1W Championship. Plus 5 points for K-Mag. Now then, who got... Because it's points for fastest... In the sweepstake, points for the fastest time set. So... Kevin Magnussen. So... Dutch F1 team over on the sweepstake have picked up the 5 points for the qualifying time. Who'd have thought that? Kevin Magnussen. I know you got Lance Stroll and Kevin Magnussen as drivers, mate. You were a bit worried, but that's not a bad start at all, is it? So, yeah, awesome. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be quite a fun one. Some prizes at the end of that as well. So, yeah, hopefully that'll be awesome. I am going to leave it there, though. I've gone on a little bit longer than I wanted to, but you guys wanted me to stay until 20k, so... I've done that. Again, massive thank you for that one. We will be back tomorrow, literally as soon after the race as we possibly can be. I'll be joined by Jonty as well. We are considering, Chaz and I, streaming live during the race tomorrow. It's not confirmed. I'm not confirming anything now, but keep an eye on your sub box just in case we do go live. We'll just be chatting about the race while it's going on. Give you an alternative, if you like, to Crofty, as much as we love him. So yeah, obviously making sure that we sort all the problems out before that stream. So yes, we will be live again tomorrow. Cannot wait for that. First race of the season. Going to be brilliant. You can follow me on social media. Links to Facebook, to Twitter, and to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for 20k. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word. And until next time, goodbye.